All right, we're back. Like I said, this section has a ton of vocabulary, and we're going to go over vocabulary, some more vocabulary now before example 4. So, some polynomials have special names based on their degree and the number of terms they have. So, when something has a degree of 0, it's called a constant. When something has a degree of 1, it's linear. When something has a degree of 2, it's quadratic. When something has a degree of 3, it's called cubic. When something has a degree of 4, it's called quartic. When something has a degree of 5, it's called quintic. And anything that has 6 or more would be like the 6th degree, the 7th degree, the 8th degree, the 9th degree, and so on. Okay? So that's degrees. Now, what goes along with degrees are the number of terms a polynomial has. So if it only has one term, it's called a monomial. If it has 2 terms, what that means, 2 terms, it's almost like if there were 2 monomials added or subtracted together, then that would be considered 2 terms, okay? So let me look back at one of our last examples here. Okay, so look here. So this right here, this 16 is one term, that negative 4x squared is another term, there's another term, and there's another term. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, okay? That's what it's talking about when it's talking about terms. Here, we would have 1 term, this would be 2 terms, and that would be 3 terms. So this would be 3 terms, okay? That's what it's talking about when it's referring to the number of terms. So if it only has 1 term, it would be called a monomial. If it has 2 terms, it's a binomial. If it has 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. And look at those, like mono, it just tells you what it is from the beginning. Mono means 1, bi means 2, and tri means 3, right? And then polynomial, that's 4 or more terms. Then you just call it a polynomial. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at some examples here. So we are going to be classifying each polynomial according to its degree and number of terms. So it's really 2 things. The first is the degree, and the second thing is the number of terms, okay? So each one of these, A, B, C, we're going to go back here, right? And it's going to have a name for its degree, depending on what its degree is, and then it's going to have a name for the number of terms it has, okay? So let's look. We need to find the degree of this, so we need to look at the degree of each of these terms. So the degree of this first term would be 3. The degree of this one, right, is 1. So which is the highest? 3 is the highest, so this means it has a degree of 3. And there are 2 terms, right? Because it's kind of like this is a monomial, this is a monomial, they're added together, that's 1 term, 2 terms, so 2 terms. So we need to figure out what is the name for when there's 3, the degree is 3 and the terms is 2. So when we look here, degree 3 would be called cubic, 2 terms is called a binomial. So this would be called a cubic binomial. So that's what we write. Cubic binomial. That is for the degree, and this is for the number of terms. And that's the answer. Okay, let's look at the next one. So let's find the degree first. So the degree of this one is 6. The degree of this one is 3. The degree here is 1, and the degree of this constant is 0. So the highest degree is 6. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Okay, so we have degree 6, 4 terms. So let's look here. So it says when there's 6 or more, we just call it the 6th degree. And then when there's 4 or more terms, we just call it a polynomial. So this would be a 6th degree polynomial. That's what we would say. So this is a 6th degree polynomial. That is the answer. Okay, perfect. Now this last one, we got to find the degree and the number of terms. So the degree, this just says a degree of 1, right? So the degree is 1, and the number of terms, there's just 1 term there. So the degree is 1, the term is 1. So for a degree of 1, it would be considered linear. And for one term, it's a monomial. So it's a linear monomial. All right, that is it. Okay, now it is your turn to check it out. So I want you to try A, B, and C on your own. So here's my friend the pause dragon. I need to pause your device. Go ahead and work out A, B, and C. When you get done, press play and we'll talk about them together. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, let's see what you did. We need to classify each polynomial according to its degree and number of terms. So we have to find the degree and the number of terms. So let's get started. So to find the degree, we have to find the degree of each one of these little things, right? So the degree here is 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so that means the degree is the highest one, which is 3. And then the number of terms, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 4 terms. So we have a degree of 3 and 4 terms. So something that has a degree of 3 is called cubic, and 4 more is a polynomial. So this would be considered a cubic polynomial. Okay, on to the next one. Let's look at this one, just 6. Okay, so it's just a number, so we know that the degree for a number is 0. And the number of terms, there's only one term there. Okay, so let's look here. If it has a degree of 0, it's called a constant, and one term is a monomial. So it'd be a constant monomial. So if you got that one right, great job. Perfect. Okay, on to the last one, C. So let's find the degree. So the degree of this one is 8. Degree of this one is 5. And then 1. So 8 is the biggest. So that means the degree of the whole polynomial is 8. And then how many terms? 1, 2, 3. So it has 3 terms. So let's look here. So if it has an 6 or more, we're just going to call it the 8th degree. And if it has 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. So this is going to be an 8th degree trinomial. Perfect. If you got all 3 of those right, wonderful job. And I'll see you in a little bit for example 5.